the desert skies. Timeless stories, they.
The harvest had been the richest anyone could remember. Barns overflowed with grain. Merchants smiled as they counted their profits. But in the largest house overlooking the field, one man sat staring at his fortune, unhappy. Aaron was the wealthiest grain merchant in the region. His storehouses were filled from floor to ceiling. His fields stretched farther than the eyes could see. Every harvest brought him more riches than the last. Yet, no matter how much he gained, Aaron was never satisfied. If only I had one more field, he would sigh. If only my barns were twice as large. If only my neighbors had less, his complaints never ended. Not far away lived an elderly widow named Miriam. She owned almost nothing, a tiny cottage, a small vegetable garden, and a single sack of grain that had to last through the winter. Yet, every morning before eating, even a crumb of bread, Miriam lifted her eyes towards the heaven and whispered, "Thank you for giving me enough for today." The villagers could never understand it. How could the poorest woman in the community be the happiest? One autumn evening, unable to quiet the emptiness inside him, Aaron sought the counsel of the village rabbi. "I have everything," he admitted, "but I have no peace." The rabbi listened without interruption. Then he reached beneath his desk and handed Aaron an empty burlap sack. "Tomorrow," the rabbi said, "carry this sack wherever your feet leads you. Each time you meet someone who is truly grateful, place a stone inside. When the sack is full, return it to me." Aaron smiled confidently. That should not take long. The next morning he set out. He met a baker. The baker complained that flour had become so expensive. No stone. He met a shepherd. The shepherd grumbled about the weather. No stone. A fisherman cursed the river for yielding too few fish. Still no stone. By midday, Aaron's sack remained empty. Surely, he thought, there must be someone. Then he came upon Miriam. She was kneeling beside her tiny garden, gently pulling weeds. Her clothes were faded. Her hands were rough from years of labor. Yet she was humming a joyful melody. "Good morning," Aaron said. "It's a beautiful day." Miriam smiled. "Every day is beautiful when God gives you another sunshine." Aaron hesitated before asking, "Are you never worried about tomorrow?" "Of course," she replied. "But worrying has never filled an empty bowl. So today I thank God for today's bread." Quietly, Aaron bent down and placed the first stone into his sack. As he continued walking, he began paying closer attention. A little boy thanked his father for teaching him to read. Another stone. A blind man thanked a neighbor for describing the colors of the sunset. Another stone. A mother thanked heaven because her sick child has recovered. Another stone. Suddenly, Aaron realized something. Gratitude always surrounded him. He had simply been too busy counting his possessions to notice it. By sunset, the sack was still far from full, but it was no longer empty. He returned to the rabbi. "I don't understand," Aaron confessed. "So few stones." The rabbi smiled gently. "Look closer." Aaron opened the sack. The stones were ordinary, yet somehow they felt heavy. "Heavier than I expected," he said. "They are," the rabbi replied. "Each one represents a grateful heart. An attitude always carries more weight than gold." Aaron lowered his head. For the first time in years, he saw his wealth differently. That evening, instead of counting his coins, he counted his blessings. His family, his health, his friends, the food on his table, the roof over his head, the breath in his lungs. As he counted, his heart became lighter. Years later, people noticed something had changed. Aaron still owned many fields, but he no longer measured his life by what filled his barns. He measured it by what filled his heart. The villagers would often repeat his favorite saying, "A full barn can feed the body, but only a grateful heart can feed the soul."
Tales by Edna, ancient and wise. Wisdom blooms on the desert skies. Timeless stories.